Over the hills and far away, some industry bullshit's come out to play. Today we're talking about Devoid of Shadows, although by the end of this video you'll be calling it Devoid of Sense, a roguelike dungeon-crawling role-playing game. It's not very good. The studio behind this game, Ars Logica, has had to apologise, not because the game isn't very good, and the game isn't very good, but because, and you're not going to believe this, the developer threatened to sue Steam users for leaving negative reviews. Yes, somehow, this developer thought to succeed where Digital Homicide had failed, where many developers that have threatened legal action have failed, because threatening legal action over somebody's right to share an opinion on a game, for some reason, isn't very popular with people. Weird, isn't it? I know it's weird, but that's the situation. You can't actually threaten to sue people for sharing an opinion and not expect some blowback. According to the game store page, the gameplay is rapid, bloodthirsty, and intransigent that does not forgive a single mistake. It is the same feeling when there is little left to live, being surrounded by merciless enemies. Devoid of Shadows is a heat in the chill dungeons of the labyrinth. I don't know what that sentence really means. And that's the least of it. The game's language translation has come under fire. Apparently it is very, very, very badly localised. From what I've played, at least in the early goings, it's written well enough, but the whole thing just seems to fall apart, and Steam reviews pointed it out. Let's just have a look at what Jerry said. Honestly, the German text is so badly translated it makes me suspect that the whole game has no effort put into it. You're trying to present a product here people are expected to pay money for, at least pretend you care. Oof. Harsh, but pretty fair. Pretty fair, if the text is that bad, you know. We've looked at plenty of games where the text is just fucking terrible, littered with typos, grammatical errors, and you're gonna assume that nobody gave a friggin' shit. I'll read a little bit of what Hattie54 said. I don't know if this game is early access, I don't believe it is. I did not see anything saying it was. The game's very clunky, the movement, camera control and combat are all very clunky. Many games of this ilk from that era had similar problems, and going forward these games have gotten a lot smoother and because of that are a joy to play. Yeah, it is, clunk is the word. It feels terrible to play. Like, I can't speak much of the translation because I just couldn't stand playing it long enough to get to any really good, juicy spelling errors, but it's not fun to play. It's horrible. Clicking and getting the character to walk and not stick to bits of the ground is a miracle in and of itself. It's not a good game. It's not a good game. Ah, but my poor sweetling children, this is Steam, where it doesn't matter how bad a game is. It doesn't matter how low effort and lazy a game might look to the naked eye. Some of the most artistically bankrupt games available on Steam have developers filled with more artistic pride than I've ever seen, and I don't know how that works. It's another paradox, but that's the world we live in, and would you believe it, the people who seemingly didn't give a shit when they were translating Devoid of Shadows gave one heck of a shit. The original response to the negative reviews, and I'm sure they got rid of some, but there don't seem to be that many. There don't seem to have ever been that many. Most people ignored this game. It came out a while ago. No one was giving a shit. It wasn't being dogpiled or anything, near as I can tell. Some people just pointed out the translation was bad, but that was enough to set these people off. They made a response, they deleted it, the No rescued it, here's what they originally said. Hello, I am a part of the Devoid of Shadows team, and I am a professional translator having many years of experience. My name is listed in the credits, see the section of the English localization. I am responsible for my work, and any further attacks on the quality of English translation, especially from the non-speakers who make several egregious grammatical mistakes in one sentence, are considered as entrapment, unless you prove that you know both languages, original and English, and provide your own interpretation of the English text. If you fail to establish a prima facie case, we shall hold you responsible for any damage the company suffers as a result of your claims, emotional injuries, and other degrading measures. What? What? Fucking what? Yes, unable to take criticism for the translation, the developer basically shat its diaper, and we got that joyous piece of text. And of course, the inevitable happened. Subreddits picked it up, YouTube channels picked it up, there was a shitstorm, they deleted the threat, and very recently, let's see, it was about 10 minutes ago when I started all of this. Probably closer to an hour ago now because I had a cup of coffee and a shit. But very recently, they apologised because, well, that's what happens when you have a little tantrum in public and people call you out on it and you realise, oh fuck, other people have done this before and it ended very, very badly for them. Let's have a look at their apology. Hello. First of all, we apologise to those who were offended by our reaction to the criticism of translations and the message of our translator. You should really just apologise for threatening people. It was our mistake and we are very upset by this situation. We are grateful to everyone who sent us constructive comments. At the moment, we are working on correcting mistakes and inaccuracies in the texts. Oh, you don't say. Actually was badly translated, was it? And we ask everyone to refrain from trolling. Yeah, we are really very upset by what happened. Sincerely, Ars Logica Team. Very fitting developer name. I'm sure you're all expecting that to be pointed out, so I'm pointing it out here that they are indeed applying Ars Logic to their behaviour. Or at least they were before they realised that they stepped into the world's biggest pile of shit and had to backtrack very, 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 very quickly. So the Ars Logica team were very naughty children indeed and have said sorry. And that's more or less resolved, I guess, but it's worth bringing up and it's worth cataloguing as yet another example of what happens when a developer just can't handle a bit of criticism and decides to throw the biggest wobbler possible. It prompts me to wonder how many of these people making games for Steam actually know jack shit about the game industry. Certainly the platform that they're developing for at the very least, because it boggles my mind that you have not heard of at least one developer meltdown, and you've not heard how that went. If you've not heard of Digital Homicide and their attempts to sue 100 anonymous Steam users as well as myself, then you should surely at the very least have heard of Guys of the Wolf or Day One Gary's Thing and the tangles they had with Total Biscuit, or the guy who made that shit cat film and his tangles with I Hate Everything, or the half a dozen games that I could name off the top of my head that have hit people with copyright strikes. Like, this stuff is everywhere now. It's ubiquitous. It's been firmly established that these sorts of threats don't work. I've been legally threatened now, like 3 times by different developers, and it's never gone well for them. It's certainly never gotten as far as a courtroom. Usually it doesn't go as far as anything even being so much as filed. But the one time someone did turn up on my door with a real, genuine, bona fide lawsuit, that company, a year later, was completely up shit creek without a paddle. They financially destroyed themselves. And if you are getting into game development, it's not just about learning how to code, it's not just about learning how to make art look nice and sound design and characters and all that. There is a business side of it, and part of that business side is public relations. And if you have bad relations with the public, your game probably ain't going to do anywhere near as well as it could do. Unless you made a shit game. I did say Devoid of Shadows isn't very good. Fortunately, of course, it doesn't look like this one is going to develop further from here. I would, of course, advise my viewers not to go trolling the forums, not to go causing hassle for them. It does seem like they've learned their lesson, but the fact that people keep having to burn their hands first and then learn the lesson, it's like, I don't know, like, Valve, do you want to, like, you're doing this Steam Direct and letting pretty much anyone upload whatever they want to Steam. But do you think maybe, like, setting up some sort of online class? Like, you don't even have to be there to teach it. Do that patronising thing YouTube used to do, or maybe it still does, I don't know, where they hit you with a copyright strike and force you to sit and watch a video telling you how not to breach copyright. Like, it's patronising as fuck, but if you could sit some developers down and just make them watch a video before they submit anything to Steam Direct saying, you know, how not to be a complete and utter prick, that might solve a lot of problems. I'm not the biggest fan of marketers and PR departments, but I do realise that for many companies, they do serve a very specific purpose, and in many instances, they're there to stop things like this happening. A lot of small independent developers, of course, don't have PR departments. They don't have anyone in charge of PR. Sometimes these are just one or two people making games. They're handling everything, and they might not know anything about public relations, but at the very least it would behoove them to do a little scouting online, like before you threaten to sue users. Maybe see if someone tried that before, and see how it went for them. Spoiler, it went so badly, they don't even do business on Steam anymore, they're not allowed, okay? That's it, like, that's the lesson right there. It doesn't work, don't do it, you bloody fool. Here endeth the lesson. It's really not that difficult to learn.